Hey Bookies! Today we are going to talk about books I would recommend from my September TBR. So let's get started. Alright, so as I am shooting this, I'm still in the process of reading for September, but I wanted to go ahead and make this list. Any others that I'm going to recommend, I might just tap on at the end of this video, I don't know, or put them in the next video, you know, it's whatever. Anyways, let's get started. The first one that I'm going to recommend is actually part of a series. It is The Wolf Den and The House of the Golden Door, book 1 and 2 of this historical fiction-esque type of read. Basically, in this one, it takes place in Pompeii, ancient Pompeii. We follow our main character who works at this good time place. I don't even know if anyone's following this. Anyways, she works at this good time place with all these other people. She was kind of sold into this form of slavery. Yeah, if you catch my drift, you catch my drift. But she is smart, and she is constantly trying to plot her way out of it. When she sees an opening, she decides to take it, and that sends her on this adventure of all of these way adult things to try to get out of her situation. So, it's very adult, I will say that, but if you're into, like, ancient Greek, ancient Roman, historical fiction, tales, whatever, this is going to be right up your alley. It is so good. I could not put the first book down, and then I immediately grabbed the second one. It was so good. I recommend it. Can't wait for the third book. Another favorite of mine for September was Lizzie Blake's Best Mistake by Mazey Eddings. I absolutely loved Mazey's first book, which is A Brush with Love. So Lizzie Blake's Best Mistake was very different. We follow the character from A Brush with Love's friend, who is Lizzie. The whole series of these books is going to be focused on this friend group, by the way. Anyways, so we're following Lizzie. She has ADHD, and she is kind of a bit of a hot mess. And she also doesn't believe in love or even second hookups. She is a one-and-done type of girl, which I can respect. So, she's very chaotic and everything. She meets this hot guy at a bar, and they end up hooking up a couple of times, which kind of breaks her rule. Which also what breaks her rules, kind of, is that her birth control expired. So, oops, accidental pregnancy. It is an accidental pregnancy trope. It also features a one bed type trope. But super well done. This is not like any other type of accidental pregnancy trope books that you have read before. This is chaotic and fun and sweet and sad, but also hopeful, and it's just great. You need to read it. Like, if you don't take any other book recommendation from me, take this one. You need to read it. I also recommend it. Take My Husband, which I thought was a very fun dark comedy read. In this one, our main character is at work, I believe she is, and she gets this call. She gets this call from a police officer, and the police officer's like, your husband had an accident, he's at the hospital. So, you know, automatically when you hear that, you start thinking of the worst case scenarios ever, that her husband is dead or whatever. So she starts thinking all of that, and then she starts thinking, well, he does have that life insurance policy. It is a lot of money. Yeah, I guess it wouldn't be a bad thing if he died. So, like, she's going into the hospital thinking that he's already dead, and she gets there and he only has a scratch. He backed into the neighbor's mailbox, and that was the accident that they were talking about. But this puts the seed in her mind, and it starts to grow about offing her husband so she can get the life insurance policy. Because, see, they are lower middle class. After he lost his business and they had to take out the second mortgage and everything, things have been really downhill for them. She can't even afford a plane ticket to go and see her soon-to-be born grandchild, her first grandchild, and she's always wanted a dog. She's wanted to do all these things. And that money from his life insurance policy would be a really great way to achieve her dreams, except her husband is still alive. So the whole novel, she's spent scheming of ways to kill her husband, and she's influenced by her neighbor who just lost his wife. It is a comedy of errors. It's fun. It's funny, but sad, but really morbid, but also really funny. If you're into dark comedy, I would recommend it. If you're looking for something that's going to talk about fairy tales, but you want to incorporate LGBT into it, Other Ever Afters is a really great graphic novel series featuring little short fairy tale stories. Very unique. They're not retellings of existing ones. They are very unique in their own, but prominently featuring LGBT characters and relationships. Super well done. I absolutely love the illustrations and all of the stories. I highly recommend it if you're looking for that. If you're looking for something that talks about historical fiction and it's middle grade and middle grade, I'm going to recommend The Bluest Sky by Christina Diaz Gonzalez. Basically, this is a historical fiction story about this young boy who's living in Cuba in the 80s, and you know, around that time frame of the 80s. Anyways, lots of political uprising and stuff like that. His family is wanting to, a couple of his family members are wanting to leave Cuba, but he doesn't because he is super smart at math. He has a chance at being in the mathematics Olympiad, and his whole life is there. He doesn't want to leave, but when things start to occur, he starts to get persuaded more and more. It's a really, really good glimpse at what is happening in Cuba during this time period. Something that I didn't get to hear about or see when I was doing American history in school. So if you're looking for something to supplement your child's historical knowledge, especially recent-ish ones like the 1980s with Cuba, this would be perfect. This is a perfect little historical fiction book that perfectly explains everything that was going on. If you're looking for something that is kind of a mystery-esque middle grade book, I'm going to recommend Flip Turns. This one is a really sweet mystery book involving this girl, middle grade girl. She just broke up with her first boyfriend, but he doesn't take it really well. And he smashes this snow globe that she gave back to him that he gave to her as a present. He smashes it outside. Already feeling weary about that, she goes to swim practice. Her parents own this aquatic center when she discovers bits of broken glass at the on the ground there, and then a lot of stuff starts to get vandalized at their aquatic center. So she's spending all this time trying to figure it out. So it's a really good mystery, but it also talks about a relationship abuse and the signs that you're being stalked and stuff like that, sexual harassment, stuff like that. So this would be a great book to open as a conversation starter for your young children, so that way they can learn what the signs look like and how to go about figuring out what to do if they find themselves in a situation like that. This is a great conversationalist piece. I highly recommend it. I'm also going to recommend As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow. This is another kind of historical fiction piece, but it's very, very recent. It talks about Syria. It's particularly around the time that a lot of the refugees started leaving Syria and seeking refuge in other countries. We follow our main character, who is was a student of pharmacy, but now is kind of like thrown into the action of trying to help all the wounded people. And it talks a lot about PTSD, stuff like that. We follow her as she struggles to decide whether she is going to leave her homeland or if she's going to stay and risk being killed. You see a lot of her internal struggle and her mental health. It's very well done. I highly recommend it. It's such a beautiful book. And the last one I'm going to recommend is It Looks Like Us by Alison Ames. I talked about this a lot recently, but it's become a quick favorite of mine. This book is reminiscent of The Thing, which was a 1980s book, I think, like that. But anyways, a group of teens goes on a work study to Antarctica to work with this company to drill ice there in the Antarctic to study the effects of microplastics. But what they get is a creature that looks like them. One of the members of their team goes out on a late night expedition, comes back not quite right, especially when our main character goes outside to figure out what they're doing outside in the freezing cold without any protection on, and she sees their face falling off and a dog snout is on their face. It's very creepy, very atmospheric, perfect for the Halloween season. So that is all the books that I'm going to recommend from my September TBR. I really enjoyed reading these books this month, and I hope you take some of my recommendations. Tell me some of yours down below, and I will see y'all later. Bye!